Hello and welcome to the Infogol Football Betting Podcast. This is episode 6. Jake Osgathorpe's off this week, so we've got an all Northeast edition. Kelly, I'm joined by Stephen Railston.
Morning, Liam. I think this is a bad version of Ant and Deck, isn't it? It's not exactly brilliant, but yeah, we'll do a job.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that I'm not a Geordie, but
it'll be a compliment. Just trying to
we've had a very busy week in football. Champions League back, Premier League last weekend as well. Straight into another weekend of football. So what are you looking forward to this weekend?
I think Man United Chelsea catches you, doesn't it, immediately on Saturday. But obviously there were some good games midweek, as you just touched on. The Madrid game, that was a big shock, wasn't it, Chapter? I thought that was interesting. I know you tipped up both teams to score, which was a good shout. Came out with a weaker side than the Madrid than usual. But yeah, so some good football, but now looking forward to the weekend and should have another round of good Premier League action.
Yeah, it was a real B-side with Qatar as well, so it's a real surprise. Obviously, that's running into El Clasico this weekend. I'm sure we'll touch on that later on. If you're new to the podcast, we're going to stick with the same format that we've done every week, which is picking out our best bet of the Premier League or the Championship, moving on to our best bet around Europe, before ending with our Betfair exchange later the week. So I'll go straight to you, Stephen. What is your best bet?
Well, I'm going for the most glamorous fixture of the weekend, Fulham, Crystal Palace. I'm sure everyone will be rushing to watch that. So yeah, that's a Craven Cottage, and I'm backing under 2.5 goals at 1.68. Now, I know there's been a flurry of goals in the Premier League so far, but I don't think these two sides have been overly convincing, to be fair. Fulham headed to Bramall Lane most recently in a 1-1 game. Both, obviously, Mitrovic had a penalty, he missed his. I know Sheffield United took their chance. Whether that dents his confidence remains to be seen. I know Scott Parker came out and backed him after the game, but it's quite interesting. Fulham have created just one non-penalty big chance this season, which is obviously extremely poor. Although Crystal Palace have created more, they've created 3 non-penalty big chances. They've actually created less chances than Fulham overall, averaging 1.02 ex-goal for per game. So yeah, they've regressed since the opening day. They were quite impressive at Old Trafford. I think we can all agree they look quite good, and Zaha looks back to his best. But against Brighton on the weekend, they failed to have a shot on target. Obviously, that's ignoring Zaha's converted penalty. So yeah, Palace created 0 XG against Brighton. I mean, that's pretty humiliating. Without mentioning that was against your rivals. So I think both these sides have definitely got questions about their attacking ability heading into this fixture. So I'm going to buck the trend of the goals and I'm going to go back under 2.5 at 1.6.
Yeah, I think it's a good bet. That it was shocking, really, that Palace performance. I know they're a defensive side and I want to hold on to a 1-0 win, but to not only not register a shot on target apart from the penalty, just to not have another shot at all is
really was.
Considering the standard, it's mental. I mean, Fulham have looked a bit better in defence over the last couple of weeks, I think, as well. Created just one non-penalty big chance. Mitrovic missed a couple of chances last weekend, but I know Ademola Lookman's has improved him quite a lot. He looks really sharp.
He looked exciting, didn't he? I think that goal against Sheffield, he showed what he can do, and I think we were both fans of him at Leipzig last season. He looked quite good, didn't he, in Germany? So he showed flashes, but yeah, I just think it's a good bet this weekend, goals.
Yeah, the Palace are usually good at picking people out and nullifying them. So, yeah, I think under 2.5. What price was that again there, sorry?
1.68 on the Betfair exchange.
Yeah, I think that's a really good bet. I'm sticking in the Premier League for my best bet of the week. I'm going with Wolves at home to Newcastle. Now, Wolves started off the season well against Sheffield United. 2 early goals and really shut up shop, just like they did all last season, really. After a couple of defeats against Man City and West Ham, and then 2 wins against Fulham and Leeds, they're not really been too convincing. But I think the second half against Leeds was a real improvement. You could see that was the Wolves of old. Now, facing a Newcastle side, which I'm sorry to say, Stephen, but they've been pretty dire again this year. I mean, the draw against Tottenham was thoroughly undeserved. I think you'll agree. I mean,
yeah, completely fair.
That late penalty and the amount of chances that Tottenham missed. The win against Burnley, obviously a plus, but I think that just gets worse week on week. The more we see Burnley, after scoring early against Manchester United, it was just devoid of any quality, really. They were just blown away in the second half. The underlying numbers, I mean, they were bottom of the league last year, pretty similar this year, really. They've averaging just over 1 XG per game, and a lot of that has come from Callum Wilson and Callum Wilson penalties. averaging just under 2 XGA per game as well, just over 1.75 on the Betfair exchange. I think, to be honest, I can't believe that price is available for Wolves, considering how solid they are, and I don't see a way of Newcastle coming away with anything here. I don't know about yourself. What do you reckon?
I think we just both talked about it before. I think it's honestly one of the bets of the weekend. That I think the underlying numbers have just completely backed up the visual impression. I mean, I know you've watched for a few times as well, and we've just been so poor, really poor. And the numbers have said that for a long time now under Bruce. And under Rafa, it was a bit better, although the numbers weren't brilliant themselves. But yeah, I think that's a really good bet.
1.83 I've seen now on the Betfair exchange. If you want to check out our previews on the Infogol website, we've got plenty on there this week. Like I say, we've got El Clasico, we've got Championship games, plenty of good Premier League games. The Man U Chelsea one sticks out on a Saturday. Just go to our website or download our free app to check them all out. Okay, so let's move on to our best bet of the week around Europe. What have you got in mind for this week, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm going to Italy in the Serie A, and I'm backing Lazio to win against Bologna at 1.79. Lazio were quite good last season. They finished fourth, posting some respectable underlying numbers. Obviously, they had Ciro Immobile, who was the top goal scorer. He finished ahead of Ronaldo, didn't he? Which was pretty impressive. But this campaign, they've only took 4 points from 4 games, and they're quite low down the table, which is obviously unusual to see. But they have been quite unlucky so far. They played Atalanta, and they lost 4-1. And while that was a heavy scoreline, they actually won the XG battle and created the better chances. They drew against Inter Milan as well, who were another top side. We know that. They were second best team in Serie A last season, just behind Juventus. And they also won the XG battle against Inter. So that was another good performance. So it's been 2 games there where they've actually played quite good, and they've probably not had the results to show from it. They beat Dortmund in midweek, which was another good performance. So they won 3-1, and that was very deserved. I don't think Dortmund are that convincing, but nonetheless, it was still a good result in the Champions League. Good way to start. Regarding Bologna, the only win of the seasons came for Parma this campaign, and the most recent away game was a loss at Benevento. So yeah, they had the first worst defence according to expected goals this season. They've not been too convincing, as they conceded over 2 XG per game. So yeah, I think away at Lazio here, I think the chances are slim, and I think the hosts have got a good chance. So 1.79, I think, is a very fair price.
Yeah, I think that Bologna defeat at Benevento was pretty damning. When you talk about Lazio, that Inter and Atalanta were the best 2 teams in Serie A according to XG last season. So to win the XG battle against those 2 were pretty good feat, really. And you mentioned again that it was a good performance against Dortmund in midweek. Yeah, I think it's really good bet. You say 1.79.
Yeah, 1.79. No.
Well, my bet comes in the big game of the weekend across Europe, El Clasico. I think both of them come into this game on the back of defeats in La Liga. Barcelona recovered against Ferencváros in Champions League in midweek. It was a really good performance, beating them 5-1, although they were down to 10 men for much of that game as well. So did get some confidence back from that after being fairly poor against Getafe last week, just 0.92 XG. And since the first game of the season against Villarreal, they've been pretty poor going forward. I think we all agree that's really unusual for Barcelona. They've averaged just 0.9 XGF per game over the last 3 matches in La Liga. Obviously, they were a bit better in midweek in the Champions League, but the level of competition was significantly lower. For me, the defence has been pretty good as well under Ronald Koeman. They've got averaging 1.03 XGA per game. He's probably trying to fix that unit before moving up the pitch, being a bit more expansive first. So coming into this game against Real Madrid, I mean, we were speaking before, and Real Madrid's week has been pretty shocking. They were beaten at home against the newly promoted Cadiz team, beaten on XG as well in that game. And then going into against a weakened Shakhtar team, beaten on XG again, creating just 1.05 XG. It's been pretty poor the last week. They were a lot better earlier on in the season in attack, but that's started to regress now. Last season, the title success was based on a solid defence. Just a bit surprising for a Real Madrid team, but they've carried that on in this season as well, allowing just 1.1 XG per game. I'm going to welcome back Sergio Ramos as well. I don't know what you're thinking about this game, Stephen, but I think it's going to be a rough watch for the neutrals, which I don't think I've ever said about a Barca Real game.
Yeah, both sides have question marks about them, don't they, coming into this, which is quite interesting. They've not played the most expansive football as you've touched on, but I'd agree with that. I think Coleman had massive work to do, didn't he, obviously, after the Champions League humiliation. And I think the improved defence has come as a consequence of a limited attack, I think, which is obviously unfortunate, but you'd expect them probably to get back to the best eventually, obviously, with Messi. And I think it's obviously a good thing that they're not as reliant on him this season as well, with Fatty's emerging, isn't he? I know you didn't pulled out a few good stats in your preview about Fatty, and he's definitely a talent for the future.
Yeah, he's really is. I mean, he's had just 9 shots this season, scored 4 times, 1.12 XG. The game finished 0-0 last year at the Camp Nou. I think it was 2-0 at the Bernabeu. So there is history for this game being a bit more pragmatic than people would think. I think both teams are just in a really bad moment right now.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. A 2.2 for under 2.5 goals on the Betfair Exchange. I'm really keen on that. I mean, I like betting unders when Barca are playing Atletico Madrid. Coming into this game against Real, like I don't think it should be odds against. Like obviously it's goals in the Premier League, but we've seen in La Liga there's a lot less goals than usual. All the prices we're quoting here are available on the Betfair Exchange. Another feature on the Betfair Exchange is the ability to lay a bet or to back against something happening. And with that, we're going to move into our last section of the podcast, which is our lay of the weekend. So, Stephen, what is your lay of the weekend?
So I'm going to lay Brentford here, 2.48 in the Championship. They're playing Stoke. And I'm going with the angle of Stoke's really good home form. They had the 4th best attack according to expected goals last season. And although they got beat up Bristol City, at home this season already, they played quite well. I didn't think they were that bad. And obviously Bristol City are flying. They racked up over 2 XG away at Preston as well, which was another good result for the Potters. And most recently in midweek, they showed the spirit against Barnsley. They were 2-0 down, I think, and came back 2-2, and they had 10 men. So they went last half an hour with 10 men and secured a point. So I've been quite impressed with Michael O'Neill's side, and I think they'll probably be pushing for promotion in the playoff places. And obviously Brentford, look, we all know about them. They were fantastic last season. But they've just taken 4 points from a possible 9 when playing away this campaign. And while it did lose unfairly to Birmingham, I think we both agree that was quite an unfair result, wasn't it, on the opening day? They were poor at Millwall, and I know they're quite a hard side to play away at. Brentford created just 0.43 non-pen XG that day, and up against another strong home side here, I think they might struggle. But I think the key to this game is obviously Even Toney. He's been fantastic. He's been in great form. I know I was laughing before, Newcastle United, my team, let him go for $500,000, and he rose up through the ranks of Peterborough, and he's looking excellent for Brentford. They've got another top striker in their hands. So I think if Stoke can keep him quiet, stand a very good chance of getting a result. So yeah, I'm going to lay Brentford at 2.4.
Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? Keeping Toney quiet. Stoke's biggest strength against Brentford's biggest strength, really. So we'll see what wins that one out. But yeah, I'd agree with everything you say there. Stoke, we expect them to finish close to the playoffs, so no pushovers. What price was that there, Stephen?
It's 2.48, that was.
I'm going to Italy for my lay of the weekend. I'm going to lay Fiorentina 1.83 on the Betfair Exchange. They're playing Udinese at home. Well, Udinese actually ranked 2nd in our XG table. Putting some really good performance. Obviously not getting the results that performances deserve at the minute, but they were much better than Parma last weekend when they won 3-2. They actually won the XG battle against Roma at home and Spezia, but lost both of them games. Same thing with the Verona game, actually. So they've been putting really good underlying numbers together. Facing Fiorentina, they've been pretty poor from a defensive standpoint, allowing over 2 XG against Sampdoria and Inter Milan. The Spezia game was very disappointing against a newly promoted side. We've got them way lower than Udinese in the XG table. But Udinese's underlying numbers, obviously it's not been rewarded for it, but that will regress to the mean, and I'm backing for that to happen this week, really. At 1.83, that's really short for Fiorentina. So I'll be taking them on happily. So that's this week's podcast. Stephen, can you round up your bets of the weekend there?
Yeah, so to begin with, obviously under 2.5 goals in Fulham versus Palace at 1.68. My European one is Lazio win versus Bologna at 1.79. And my lay of the week is Brentford at 2.48.
Yep, I've gone for Wolves to beat Newcastle at 1.81. Under 2.5 goals in El Clasico this week, 2.2. And Lane Fiorentina at 1.83, all on the Betfair exchange. Don't forget, you can download our app for free on App Store and Android. And visit our website. We've got match previews, live shot maps, and analyst verdicts across the board in all of the major leagues. That's it from us. Enjoy the weekend's football.
Thanks for listening.